The surprise today at the State Department was that the new president took advantage of this visit to deliver his first major foreign policy address as president, including a lot of detail and even some measured words for Israel on the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
Going forward, the outline for a durable ceasefire is clear. Hamas must end its rocket fire. Israel will complete the withdrawal of its forces from Gaza. The United States and our partners will support a credible anti-smuggling and interdiction regime so that Hamas cannot rearm. Just as the terror of rocket fire aimed at innocent Israelis is intolerable, so too is a future without hope for the Palestinians. As part of a lasting ceasefire, Gaza's border crossings should be open to allow the flow of aid and commerce with an appropriate monitoring regime with the international and Palestinian Authority participating.
In the transition period, no matter how many times he was asked, Mr. Obama would not comment on stuff like this, saying there could only be one president at a time. Well, now that he is talking about the thorniest issues on earth, how does the one new president compared to the old one? Joining us now is Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski, former National Security Advisor to President Carter. Dr. Brzezinski, it is an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
After staying silent about Israel and Gaza during the transition, President Obama spoke pretty forcefully about the issue today. What did you make of his remarks?
Essentially, he was conveying that he is going to provide the leadership, that there is a sense of urgency about this issue, and that we have to move forward first through a fair ceasefire that has some chance of enduring, which means Hamas doesn't do awful things. And it also means that the Palestinians in Gaza are not blockaded and suffer unnecessarily. And secondly, that there has to be a peace based on the two-state solution, and that the United States is going to have an active, urgent policy of promoting that peace.
Is there a difference that you can discern today between the pre-Obama policy, American policy toward Israel and the new Obama policy?
I think there are two differences. One, the United States is going to have now a peace envoy that is trusted both by the Israelis and by the Palestinians, and who has an urgent mandate to move things forward. And secondly, that the President himself and the United States in general, working through the Secretary of State, is going to be an active participant in the promotion of the peace process. I think we're no longer going to be making blanket promises about peace this year, which President Bush and Secretary Rice said so often, without then doing anything about it.
Obama did introduce these presidential envoys today to the Middle East and to Afghanistan and Pakistan in George Mitchell and Richard Holbrooke. Is it significant, do you think, that the president did not announce an envoy to Iran today, even though we're fairly certain one is coming?
I have no idea what's behind it. It could be that there was a deliberate decision to separate these issues. It could be that there are still some discussions regarding who the envoy will be.
On the issue of the State Department broadly having a very high profile in this administration, and it seems like this presidential visit today was designed to help in that regard, what do you expect the Clinton State Department will take on that the Condoleezza Rice State Department couldn't or just didn't?
Well, we have just discussed one very major, really dramatically important issue, where the State Department in the years past, in the recent past, was essentially issuing generalized statements. So-and-so must do this, so-and-so must do that, but in the end the United States was not doing anything about it. Here we have a sense that the President and the Secretary of State would be actively involved. When I first met Obama a year and a half ago, we discussed how the system ought to be organized, and I asked him, it all depends on what kind of a role you want to play. And he made it very clear that he wants to be deeply involved in leading, in shaping our strategy. So we now have a president at the top, a very good national security advisor who will be the coordinator, and a really politically powerful Secretary of State who is committed to being successful. So I think we have a good team, and the envoys that were chosen today are solid, experienced, energetic people. Mitchell has the advantage of being trusted by both sides. And he's not there just to preside over needless and endless dialogues. He wants accomplishment. Holbrooke is a very energetic guy who has a somewhat different mission. We know what our objective is in the case of Israel and the Palestinians. A two-state preceded by a meaningful ceasefire. as two-state solution. In the case of Afghanistan, we still have to define what our objective actually is. Is it a democracy? Is it a modern state? Or is it an independent Afghanistan which is not under the influence of a Taliban that is connected with Al-Qaeda? So there is a strategic undertaking here that's more complex.
Vice President Biden today said explicitly that the military will be responsible for less of the nation's heavy lifting in the Obama administration. He described the president and the Secretary of State, the defense secretary, even the chairman of the Joint Chiefs have all called for that. It seems to me that if there is going to be resistance to shifting some of the burden off of our military, putting it back on civilian agencies instead, if there is going to be resistance, I imagine that it would come from people who profit off of the military, the defense contractors. Do you think that's true?
I think there's something to that. But I think as far as the military is concerned, as far as the Defense Department is concerned, I think they understand extremely well the need to put more emphasis on political solutions, on development, and Secretary Gates has openly spoken to that effect.
Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski, former National Security Advisor to President Carter, thank you so much for your time tonight, sir. It's really nice to have you here.
It's nice to be with you.